Be live. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Cabinet on Tuesday, 19th of February, 4 p.m. Have we got any apologies? I don't think we have. We're all here. Minutes of previous meeting. Are they correct record? Yeah, thank you. Any interest? We're all interested. Thanks very much. Admission of the public. There's no public here. We've got Tony from the press. Welcome, Tony. And we've got Councillor Martin Bolt, who's here for item 12 and 13. So I'll bring you in then, Martin. Item 5, deputations and petitions. Any deputations? No. Public question time. We have no public here. Member question time. Councillor Bolt's going to talk on 12:13. Or do you want to come in now? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I've just seen on social media that the issue of the George Hotel will be featured on BBC Look North tonight. I don't know if anybody from Cabinet's been interviewed. But in view of some of the comments that were made at the budget speech, that it is something that the Cabinet are looking at. Perhaps you could give us an update what the Cabinet view is on that so that we don't have to watch the BBC.
I'll bring Councillor Peter McBride in a minute, but before we start, Martin, just a few things that you're probably aware of. That is a very challenging building. It's a listed building, and I've not been interviewed, but I just thought I'd get that context out because you know we are trying our hardest to try and do something. I'll ask Peter. Peter, do you want to come in and fill in the details?
Martin, yeah, I wouldn't want to deprive you of watching the BBC. However, I'm not aware of any interview or anything, any information I have that you might not have with regard to the George. I'm aware that there's difficulties in terms of getting the thing developed. We have no particular plans to step forward. However, if the opportunity arose where there was a viable financial scheme brought forward, we would undoubtedly look at that. And maybe officers have got some sort of, there may be some attempt to talk to the officers in the interim, but so far that has not come as far as me, or I don't think to you, Shabir, has it? I don't think. No.
Extra. It was me, Martin, that said it, and the officers are looking to talk to both the owner of the George Hotel and the station warehouse and see whether we can put or talk and see if there is possibilities of developments there.
Right, thanks, Saeed. Okay. Martin, we will watch the programme with interest. Thank you very much. Item 8, determination of school admission arrangements for 2020-21. Councillor Masood Ahmed.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of the report is for Kirklees Council in terms of the admission authority for Kirklees Community and Voluntary Control Schools as determination of school admission arrangements for 2020-21. And the purpose of the report is there. The key points really are in, get to my page, let me check, is page 21 in terms of the Cabinet recommendations, looking at the Appendix 2 in terms of admissions for 2021, and in terms of arrangements for voluntary control schools in Appendix 1, including the PANS. I'd just like to thank everybody involved with this in terms of getting individuals and organisations to take part in the whole process, really.
Thank you, Councillor Masood. Councillor.
Thank you, Chair. Just to say I second that, and to say it really is as it has been before, and the only change is, as the Minister of State for School Standards has asked Council to do, is that we've included as well children who were previously looked after outside England and have ceased to be looked after as a result of being adopted, and they're now the second highest.
Thank you, Councillor Kendrick. Are we okay to approve that, members? Okay, thank you. Item number 9, Oh, sorry, Councillor Martin Ball. You didn't say you wanted to speak on this item, but go on, I'll let you.
It's called being proactive. With regards to the comments about that, and the fact that this is arrangements going up to 2021, by which time some of the major developments, some of the early parts of the Dewsbury Riverside may be on stream and built. What arrangements and capacity is there for ensuring that those children can go to schools near where they live, and that we're not suffering then the problems of congestion, and because once people start at a school, they and their siblings will carry on there.
I'll let Councillor Wright come in, and if you want to come in, you can do.
As far as school is concerned, the Riverside project is a proposal for schools to be built as part of the total programme. So that is all. That's one of the great virtues of having a large site there where we own part of the land, where we can determine the outcomes and plan what effectively will be a village. It will include all of the infrastructure necessary to service that village.
Do you want to add anything, Masood?
Thanks. Yes, there is. Well, no, sorry, Chair. Through you, members are allowed to comment on reports as well as question. Indeed. And the Chair's very accommodating. Yes, you're right, Peter. I went to the drop-in session from the developers who said that there are virtually a new village. There are two junior schools and a senior school. But in accordance with the planning inspector's recommendations, which will be coming to council, those don't become deliverable until 2,000 houses have been built. So the question again is, what's happening to the people who move on in the early stages of those development before you get to that 2,000 trigger when you start building, and God knows how many houses you are before it's built.
I think what it is, right, is David's right. This item, and you can come on the 27th when we're going to discuss this at the full council, and I'm sure you will raise this issue again, so we need to move on. I didn't say that, Martin. I'm just saying that, you know, you know full well that you are being mischievous and you're taking child prerogative.
It's a genuine question because some of the pupils will come to Murfield schools at the moment.
Councillor,
I'm concerned about
comments are noted. Okay, item number 9. So did we take a vote on item 8? No. Yeah. Right, thank you. Are we okay? Item number 9, to decommission specialist provision at Headlands CE Junior and Nursery School and deliver the service in a different way. Final decision report. Councillor Masood Ahmed.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, this report, so this particular item has been to the Cabinet on a number of occasions. This is the final report, hopefully for members, and I think you'll be pleased to hear that in terms of the provision that we're looking at in a different way. So the report itself is really highlighting what we are doing, and I really would want to ask Cabinet to recommend it for approval, and also thank everybody that's been involved with this. Really, there's nothing more I really want to say on this one because it's been that many times to Cabinet. Sorry to say that.
Thank you, Councillor Liv. Can you want to?
Just a second, Chair.
Thank you, members. Are we okay? Like Masood said, it's been around for a bit, and we're okay to approve that. Okay, thank you, members. Item 10, Kirklees Annual Education Standards and Quality Report 2017-18. Councillor Masood Ahmed.
Thank you, Chair. We're very proud of the highly ambitious ambition for our children and young people in Kirklees. We welcome the detailed analysis that shows the current performance of our district and recognise that this highlights that there are opportunities to improve. Our aspiration is to be amongst the best in the country, and we believe that collectively, because of the commitment of our school leaders, school staff, governors, coupled with our wider partners, that together we can enable brilliant outcomes for our children and young people. We are keen that the learning strategy is to develop and that it will support us all to work together to achieve this ambition over the next 5 years, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Kendrick.
Just to second it and ask Cabinet colleagues to approve the recommendations.
Thank you. Are we okay, members? Okay, thank you. Item number 11, Huddersfield Heritage-led Regeneration Scheme. Is this Peter?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. It's a piece in the jigsaw to improve the town. It sits alongside all the other measures which will be revealed when the master plan is rolled out in a couple of weeks. It's particularly to address the issues of signage and shop frontages, some of which are looking a bit shabby. It'll be addressed by sort of constructive help to the owners to improve things. We will have a policy to maintain standards, which will be by enforcement, but constructive enforcement in the sense that in some cases they may need some help, and there's a fund in place to achieve that objective. And it also, the fund is criteria will be alongside that of English Heritage and other funding bodies which may enable us to expand the scheme further. It is true in one part of the town, particularly Northumberland Street area, things are looking a bit shabby, and as I say, it's part of a piece of overall improvements. So I recommend it to the council.
Thank you, Councillor Murray.
All I can say is I'd like to recommend and second this report. Look forward to all of the work that's being carried out, is likely to be carried out, and lift the town centre and brand Kirklees, Huddersfield in particular. Thank you.
Councillor Henry.
Thank you, Chair. Just to make sure that it is included in it, I note the Councillor McBride's recommendation about further checks about enforcement in the town centre, and I very much support that and want to make sure that that is part of the recommendations.
Yes, so not that. Thank you, members. Are we okay to agree that? Thank you. Item 12, Leeds City Region Connectivity Programme. Councillor Peter McBride, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. This is the starting point of a discussion on a mass transit system in West Yorkshire. The context is HS2 and the arterial route east, or routes east-west, and how to ensure both have maximum access throughout the sub-region to the main arteries, as well as connections between sub-regional centres. It's an attempt to plan routes and links which express and anticipate the major movements in different forms of transport. It can be seen as a sort of extension of the Leeds tram system. It'll be maybe by a new generation of transport system, and it might be also by bus systems. The detail of this is not worked out to any degree, but it's a planning to assume that we will need those major links sort of sub-regionally, as well as the links between regions as expressed in HS2 and Transpennine.
Thank you, Councillor Peter McBride. Naheed, do you want to?
I think all I'd like to say is it's a major investment into our region. The connectivity will be improved, and as Councillor McBride pointed out, a new generation of transport system to take us into the next century, because we are suffering in terms of connectivity. About time. Thank you.
Councillor Davis.
Yeah, it's just that I think the map on page 177 is about the whole continuity, but it's to have a colour-coded map in black and white. It's not very helpful, is it? You know, so I think we need, even though it might cost us a few pence more, I think in future, to understand what we're looking at, I think we need to have that. If it's a colour-coded map, it needs to be in colour.
Particularly as the codes indicate what the routes will be and what modes might be, and that really is silly to. It's trivialising something which could be very important, well, will be very important in the future. I think, to be fair, this is the first iteration, it's the first look But you're right, that it should have been a lot better expressed than this.
Yes, point taken, well made, and we'll make sure that we get colour map in the future. Councillor Viv Kendrick.
Thank you, Chair. I've sort of a comment and half a question, if you like, to Councillor McBride, and I'd refer people to page 178, 2.12, where it says the transport network would have significant benefits for Kirklees, including addressing some of the key connectivity priorities identified above. Specific benefits to Kirklees include, and I would take you then to the third bullet point, addressing the poor public transport provision in areas, particularly from within North Kirklees, around Cleckheaton and Hetman White, for example, where there is no rail connectivity connecting to Leeds and Bradford. And the map does show a line on there. And I know we're talking about a lot of years ahead, but for me, a huge disappointment has been that the obvious route there would be the Greenway, Spen Valley Greenway, which has had space left that you could do that. And yet our strategic planning committee approved an application to build on the only other railway area we have that could be a Greenway in Spen Valley. And planners say they contacted the Leeds City region or West Yorkshire or whatever, and that there were no future plans. And I know we're talking 15, 20 years ahead. I just wonder what you feel about that, Councillor McBride.
I'm glad you pointed it out to me. I think it's important what you say. That when we're planning these big systems and long-term, hence we've got to guarantee lines and ensure that they're there, and at the same time pre-plan over the whole system. I think there's a danger that there's some planning at West Yorkshire level which is not reflected fully in the district. And I think, well, I will bring this matter to the attention of West Yorkshire and say, like, why wasn't there this liaison to ensure we had a more sensible policy to take account of the point you're making, Councillor Kendrick?
Yes, Dave.
When British Rail decided to sell off the Spen Valley line and close the last bit of it down, the county council took a decision, and it was backed by a lobby group called Missing Link, and claimed this was the missing link between Dewsbury and Bradford. And they were lobbying on the basis not for the Greenway, not for the tramway. They were lobbying on the basis this was a vital transport link that should be preserved. So our planning guidelines, and it's still in the same ones, have not allowed any bridges to be destroyed, tunnels to be destroyed, or anything built across the track. So we've got a railway line from Dewsbury to Bradford, or to Lowmore, that it goes into Bradford, that has got every single bridge standing, every single tunnel open, nothing built across it. Yet some of these other schemes, they'll be looking for absolutely billions and billions of pounds for pulling houses down, crossing rivers, all sorts of really expensive things, where we have got a route from Dewsbury to Lowmore that has not got anything. When we had the bridges surveyed, when I was a chair of the trust and we had the bridges surveyed, the only bridge that had that there was any doubts about was the bridge across the motorway, which is the newest one. All the bridges built in 1840 were sound, and all the tunnels built in 1840 were sound. But the motorway bridge, there were some doubts about it. So we put ties on to find out whether the cracks were expanding or not. And after 10 years, the cracks weren't expanding, so the bridge is settled. So we've got a line, granted it's only single track because the motorway bridge is single track, but the rest of it is double track all the way from Dewsbury to Lowmore, which could be any of these for doability. And it would create a really massive boost to people in the Spen Valley about creating those links. So I just think it's very remiss of them not to look seriously at that, because I don't think they appreciate it. This is probably the one they could deliver quicker than anything else. All the others are massively complicated.
This makes it more likely that the light rail could be used because there already is a rail link into Lowmore, and if that line's there, it would be relatively cheap to put it in. And I think they're just looking for opportunities like that. So I will talk with you about this now. We can bring that forward to West Yorkshire, yeah. So that's very helpful.
Right, thanks, Peter. I'll bring Councillor Martin Bolton. Martin?
Thank you. Yeah, this is, again, something that I'm sure we share interest with lots of people. And there's a slight irony that what we're talking about here is the need for improvement lines on projects and infrastructure which may be of later use, something that you'll be talking about after this item. We might not be able to do it immediately, but improvement lines are there for the future. Again, I reflect on a point previously made at Cabinet sessions that when you're asking for this to come forward, let's see that not only working with West Yorkshire, but it includes the essence of what we were talking about at Cabinet Council 2 meetings ago, that we have air quality and environmental impact assessment reports. We're supposed to be having them. They need to be fed in and start acknowledging that. The mass rapid transit alignment at the moment, as it does, and it's not the first look that we've had of this. We've seen colour plans at West Yorkshire. They do exist. It's just that obviously in translation between the West Yorkshire papers and you getting them at Cabinet, that hasn't been picked up on. So the line which is marked orange on the colour maps, or the one to the left on this one, goes to Dewsbury. As a transit connection, that offers limited connections. If that transit line was moved so that it picked up the Wakefield line at the old Marmerville, the Ravensthorpe intersection, then passengers would have more opportunity of travel than just going sort of the Leeds-Manchester line. They could also look at that. So in terms of future viability, we need to look at that. When this is coming forward for consideration, we also need to see comparative figures. What are the projected passenger take-up of the mass rapid transit system compared to the current uses and benefits that it has now, bearing in mind that Kirklees are also signed up to the West Yorkshire ambition targets of a 300% increase in cycling. The Spen Valley Greenway was, until Yorkshire Water came along, the busiest part of the national cycle network in the country. So if this mass rapid transit system has a detrimental effect on cycling, walking and other physical activities, we need to be factoring that in because, again, that's a key component of the Council and Cabinet's ambitions. The other thing, David mentioned the bridges, and it's worth bearing in mind, I'm paying tribute to the work that John Grimshaw and David Hall did at Sustrans. When Transperience, the museum, went into liquidation in about 1998, the receivers were selling off piecemeal what they could. And it was Sustrans who pointed out to them that as receivers, they had to get the best value. If that left them with the liabilities, and that was the bridges, then they couldn't sell off the receipts until they discharged the liabilities, which meant they had to keep those to pay for the bridges. So the bridges were kept because Sustrans bought the whole route. And as David says, they are probably far better than a lot of other ones. But there needs to be the assessment then of how they're going to be now with heavier traffic. I think, again, Heckmondwike councils will probably want an assessment of a mass rapid transit system going through the housing estate at Heckmondwike. How is that affecting the air quality and any issues that affect the residents there who bought houses without knowing that that might happen? We want to also see and hope that when Yorkshire Water disturbed the Spen Valley Greenway for a period of a year to 18 months by putting a sewage line all the way from East Byley down to Dewsbury, was there a lift and shift clause in there if ever that became used as a transport corridor? Because otherwise, for the whole 7 miles of that corridor, you have at some point underneath, some point at the side, you have a 3-metre sewage pipe. If that's part of the project cost to move it, then that's when the economic benefit, the cost-benefit analysis, start to weigh out. So obviously the concept of mass rapid transit is something that Leeds has tackled with over many years and so far not managed to deliver. But in Kirklees we need to make sure that we're getting it right, because at the moment, linking it with NPR, Northern Powerhouse Rail, we know that if Bradford get their way, then it will go as far away from Kirklees as possible. They're pushing for a city centre halt. That won't give the opportunity for a parkway at Lowmore or anywhere else. So it's something, I think the concept is to be welcomed, but I think we're a long way off singing the praises of it just yet.
Thank you, Councillor Ball. David?
Just a technical point. The only estate built across the line is in Edmundwike. When that went to planning committee, it was clearly stated that the width had to be to allow a future rail linkage. So if they don't know about it, it's because their solicitors haven't checked on their searches properly. Because it was quite clear. The width, if you've seen it, Martin, you see the width was made to allow a railway to go through there, and that was on the planning committee at the time. So that's perfect. And that's the only one that's built on that line. The top line's got quite a few. This is the bottom one.
Yeah, can I add something to that? Bear in mind what I said originally. This is the first discussion where Wicker is going to look at the whole system, multimodal uses, about what they see as major routes, which will include all forms of transport, which will be assessed how and effectively they might be used. It does sound from what David says that light rail might be an appropriate for, as one mode to be used along this routeway. That doesn't exclude others, which could be walking, cycling, etc. So I do know that all those factors are being considered. So to illustrate the point, if you look at our contribution or our part of the A629, which looks just like, oh well, it's just New North Road and the extension Halifax Road to, it's much more than that. It's all routes, road, bus, cycling, walking along that route, which goes beyond New North Road. And by the same token, the full assessment will include all possibilities along that route line. So, as I said, this is the first step. But I also take into account what Councillor Kendrick said, that if things are being determined which limit the ability to apply those principles, then there's something to be seriously considered.
Okay, members, I think that the report, like Councillor Peter McBride says, it's still got a lot of detail to work up. But I think for me, it's about improving that reliability and the access for everyone, including bicycle users, and making sure that the capacity is right to make sure that we can actually carry people around the region. Talking about figures, Martin, I was looking at the disparity between north and south, and the amount of money that Crossrail gets compared to Network Rail, right? Yeah, is like mind-boggling. If we just got half what Crossrail get, a lot of the issues, a fraction. You're right. We'd be a lot better off, right? But anyway, we will carry on making the best use of the few resources we get. Okay, are we okay with that, members? Item 13, consideration 12. Oh, sorry. Oh, no, so 12, are we okay with the report, yeah? Yeah. I'm sorry, I asked that. Yeah. I was right, Anyway, item 13, consideration of improvement line 179 Durker Lane at Royd House, Kirkburton, Huddersfield. Councillor Peter McBride.
Thank you, Chair. This is land acquired many years ago relating to a highway improvement that was never implemented, and in the view of officers, now would not be justified to be maintained. So in these new circumstances, it might be reasonable to remove the improvement line and leave the way open for negotiation for the possibility of somebody to buy that piece.
David?
Sorry, can I ask a question on the map on page 188? Because the report says that they needed 3 bits of land that could only buy 2. But where's the bit that they couldn't buy? Because you look on that page 188, it looks like they've got a perfect bypass there. It doesn't look like there's any bits missing. So where was the bit that they couldn't buy? Well, it just looks... They've got permission to put a road in. it looks. Well, I could have moved it a bit that way then, couldn't I? I thought, it seems strange. It all makes sense. I was just curious because it looks on that plan as if there's nothing missing.
Martin, did you want to say something?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, is this? Not just for the specific one, but for the wider purpose. It makes me ask how many improvement lines, how many similar packages of land have Kirklees inherited then from its predecessor boroughs. Well, just if you just wait, David. No. The report talks about road safety, and I would suggest that there are wider. We've been talking just before about strategic transport. Road safety is not the only reason we will be developing roads. It's also for strategic transport, and things have moved on since these roads were there. In the area of this, probably since this report was written, there is a planning application for a 90,000 tonne infill. Now, if those tippers aligned to other quarries and landfill sites in that area all start going on narrow roads like this, then we may need to turn around to developers and say you should be contributing. As David says, in the Hetmondwike ward, there are houses between the Bar House and the Yew Tree, where the verge at the front of their house has been retained by highways for highways improvements. Just through the Yew Tree traffic lights in the Liversidge and Gumbersville ward, that highway improvement line moves to the other side, so highway improvement would be a slalom. Can you say if you're intending to develop those lines? Not in the Hetmondwike ward, David. Or in the Liversidge.
Chair, I think we should consider the here and now, not the ifs and buts and maybes of forever and the future. I'm
asking about the strategic view of the Cabinet and whether we can have a disclosure on how many other improvement lines you have.
Can I just... Yeah, Martin, I'm mindful that you've got a lot to say, right, yeah, and I'd like to listen to you, but I want to keep focusing the meeting. Yeah, we've got business to do. After the business, if you want to sit here and talk, but that's it. You've got Graham going now. Graham, over to you.
Chair, I know this road very well. It's just from the end of my ward, and I know where it goes to and where it comes from. So it's not a million miles, and I can see if I sit in my office, stand at my office window at home, I can see the 3 acres in the distance glowing on an evening. This would be there's no reason not to sell the land because this is a road that generally doesn't go anywhere to ever. And in the next local plan, which hopefully a week tomorrow, we'll be sat in here agreeing there is no significant development anywhere on that road that is likely to succeed. So for 13 to 15 years, there's going to be no significant increase in traffic. It's a perfect sense to sell it back to the owners.
And I think it's a right recommendation, right? Yeah. So are we okay to approve these members? Yeah, thank you very much. And we've got a final item, but do we need the member here? Yeah. So item 14, the member's not here, so that falls. So thank you very much, members, for your time. Have a good evening.